Hello everybody, I think we're live. I hope we're live. Hopefully I'm a better ringmaster than I am with technology. Let me just make sure that everybody can hear me. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. My name is Ryan and I'm the ringmaster for Gandhi Circus. Thank you very much for joining me today on the live Q&A here on the Gandhi Circus Facebook page. We really appreciate everybody coming along and supporting us, especially as obviously we're not out touring at the moment due to the coronavirus. We hope you're all enjoying your time at home and staying as safe as possible. But of course, we are so looking forward to getting back out on the road as soon as possible. So I do have a few questions that we've had already sent in. So until I have a couple more questions from our live audience, I do have some ready. So I don't know if many of you know, but I was also involved in another circus production from the Gandhi's World Class Productions family in Cirque Surreal. Now I was the ringmaster in that show as well, but I didn't speak. And somebody has asked me, it was, here we go, from Becca. Thank you very much for your question, Becca. Surreal was a very dramatic role. How did you find the rehearsals and how was it different from your traditional ringmastering? So for me, it was very weird because obviously I wasn't talking, I didn't have a microphone. So I had to create a character, a presence that was in the ring and doing essentially the job of the ringmaster where I would present each act, but without speaking. So for me, it was all about creating this air around me that means the audience would sort of take my direction and follow my gaze and my focus to the acts. So thank you very much, Becca. I hope you enjoyed both Surreal as well as my normal ringmastering in Gandhi's. So hello everybody. We've got Leah and Paul and Stacey, all the Ransoms. Lovely to see you. Andrew Payne, hello. And Siobhan, Melody, Freddie, Nicola and Megan, lovely to see you. Thank you very much for joining everybody. Now, we've just had somebody, Tracy Ann. Hello, Tracy. Have I ever had another job? I have. Now, originally, I actually trained as a dancer. So, very different from ringmastering. I trained mainly in contemporary. And then I've also done things like Latin and ballroom. I've done Bollywood and all sorts of commercial. So, I've been in a few music videos. I've been out into Mumbai. I went to Mumbai for 2 weeks and I filmed a Bollywood music video for a big film out there. So that was pretty amazing. I was also a dancer for a small cruise ship company called Viking, and I spent 6 months on board doing the production shows. Again, an amazing experience. And then I've also done things like pantomime, children's theatre. I've done big, huge outdoor corporate events. So I've been really lucky to have such a varied and exciting career, really. And then I saw online a job advertisement for a guest ringmaster for a circus. And I thought, do you know what? That's something so different from everything I've done so far. I would love to give it a go. So I went along and I was a guest ringmaster for Gandhi's at Butlins, Skegness. Now, but if anyone who's been to our big main touring show and has also been to one of our Butlins shows, you'll know it's quite different because obviously the touring show comes in, we set up within a week, we might do 4 days worth of shows and then obviously we take down and move on. Whereas Butlins, we're there for quite a while, we're there for 2 months over the summer, 8 weeks in total. So we don't do the moving, we don't do the pull up, the pull down, we just do the shows. So Butlins for me was my first experience of both circus and Gandhi's, but I fell so in love with the whole atmosphere, the whole dynamic and the excitement, but also the family feel with the cast, that when Gandhi's offered me to come back as a ringmaster for the full production tour, I jumped at the chance. And here I am almost 2 years later, and I'm really looking forward to getting us back out on the road. Now, oh, we've got lots of questions coming through. Louis has asked how old I am. I'm actually older than a lot of people think. I'm actually 28, so lots of people think I'm younger. I'm hoping that just that will stick with me. When I'm 40, I still look 30. So thank you very much, everybody. We have some more questions coming through. Can I sing and dance? From Alice. Well, you now know I'm a trained dancer, so I like to think I can dance. Singing is a bit of a... I'm not the most confident singer, but and I would never say that I'm going to go out there and be the best soloist in the world. But I actually was part of a Steps tribute band that toured around the UK, and I was H. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that show. It's one of the best I've ever done, and that was all live vocals. So obviously I sang well enough to impress somebody to give me that job. So I would consider myself as a singer as well as a dancer and an actor. So hopefully the people who heard me would also call me a singer as well. So Lorna Holden has asked, she saw me after doing the hype after a show, do I play Fortnite? No, I don't play Fortnite. It's something I don't really have time to do. Circus touring life is very, very busy. We have actually had a question, which I'm going to tie in with this one, about what else do I do for the circus. Now, everyone at the circus doesn't have just one job. So, for instance, I'm not just a ringmaster. I also help out in the box office. I also help out looking after all the stock. And then during the week, I help out with things like social media. Sometimes we need some advertising done, so dropping off leaflets or posters. So everybody at the circus joins in. So no, I don't really have that much time for Fortnite, because then obviously I do 3 shows on some Saturdays. So it's a very, very busy life, circuses, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It's amazing. So what do we have here? Hello, Vicky Jones from Warrington. First time at the circus last year, and thank you very much. We hope we see you again this year. Fingers crossed, we may be able to come back out touring this year if all goes well. Obviously no promises there, because it all depends on government guidelines, but I know from the bottom of our hearts, everybody here at Gandy's really is hoping to get back out on the road as soon as possible. So, if I wasn't working as a ringmaster now, what would I do? Well, I have a real passion for pantomime. The first show I was ever taken to was when I was about 2 or 3 years old, and my grandparents took me to a pantomime, and that's something that has stuck with me throughout my entire personal and performance life. So I went every year with my grandparents every Christmas until I was about 22, and yeah, every Christmas, that was one of the highlights of my year, that was. And I've also been in 2 professional touring productions. I was Buttons in Cinderella, and then I was the villain, Will Atkins, in a touring production of Robinson Crusoe. So I love being involved in pantomime, I love going to watch it, so I think I would like to get back onto a stage in some form of pantomime role would be the ideal job. But really, as I said earlier, I have had such a versatile career. I would like to be in a position where I can go and do lots of different things. So really, I would just like to go out into the world and continue performing. Emma and Stacey have asked whereabouts I'm in lockdown. So I have gone back to my parents' house, which is in Northamptonshire. So they've lived here since I was 10 years old, so they've lived here for 18 years now, and it just made a bit more sense for me to be back with them and to help support them, because my mum works for the NHS. So I've come home, and I'm in lockdown in Northamptonshire, which is a very beautiful part of the world, but I am really missing all of my Gandy's family. So, Alfie Crockett, we've seen you at Aintree. What's the best act in the circus? Oh, now that's a really tough question, because I honestly can't pick. Not only are those performers incredible at what they do, they're also very good friends of mine, and I adore watching every single one of them, because I also see their personal achievements and their personal love for the show. So for instance, if I see an artist that one day is really struggling with something, and then the next day they go and absolutely smash that move in their routine, watching them come off stage and go, do you know what, that was amazing, I did that so well, I get to share that journey with them. So there isn't really an act that I would say is my favourite, because I'm in love with the whole show, and I know I'm biased because I'm in it, but it really, really is difficult for me to pinpoint a personal favourite. However, if I was to pick an act that I would like to do, I think I would love to learn a silks routine, potentially with a partner, because for those of you who was with us last year, you'll know that we had the absolutely incredible duo Nava, and they really are a stunning routine. And every time I see Brandon's strength, and I just think, do you know what, I would love to be in a position to be able to perform like that. And I thought their choreography was beautiful, and I loved the whole aesthetic of their piece. And I thought, do you know what, if I could do that, that would be great. Plus, I'm not as big and muscly as some of the other boys that do all the other acrobatics, so it probably wouldn't look as impressive. So Stacey Garland saw us last year in Butlins, and she still calls me the greatest showman. Well, thank you very much, Stacey and Katie. We really, really appreciate you coming to support us. And hello, Noah and Bo and Libby. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hi to Carl as well. Phil has asked if we're coming to a visit to Guernsey. Now, I would absolutely love to come back to Guernsey. We really enjoy visiting the Channel Islands. Both Guernsey and Jersey are beautiful places, and we also have such an amazing reaction from our audiences there. So we really, really were looking forward to coming back this year. Unfortunately, as you know, that wasn't quite able to come to fruition. So next year we're going to come back, and it's going to be even bigger and better. So Emma Glittery, do you make and choose your own outfits? Now, obviously, as a ringmaster, there is a certain aesthetic for me, and sort of a long-standing tradition for the tailcoat. So I didn't particularly, if that makes sense, get to choose that I got to wear a jacket, but I did have some say in the design and make of this one, and also I have helped personalise it. Who doesn't love a bit of sparkles? So thank you very much to everybody who's been involved in making this for me. And for everybody who saw me in Surreal, that was an amazing costume. So we had a fantastic costume wardrobe lady called Rosie. So she did a lot of the costumes alongside the Gandhi family. Obviously, they had their ideas and their aesthetic they'd like for the piece while we were creating it. Rosie was their wardrobe mistress, but my personal jacket was created by a fantastically talented woman called Kim, and I owe my entire look to her. She spent hours dyeing it, gluing it back together, sewing on extra sparkles. She made me a cape, and I don't think my character could have quite come to life like it did without Kim's incredible work. So really, it's a team effort, really. You never get one person that hasn't had some, what am I trying to say? There's never only one person's input in a circus show. You will always have other people that have had some say and some creative control. So yeah, it's a team effort, and I've always enjoyed working as part of the Gandhi's team. We had a question from Saeed earlier saying, what's it like to work as a team with Gandhi's? And I love it. I think one of the reasons why I'm getting myself all in a muddle here. Not very good for somebody who talks professionally as a living. So working as part of the Gandhi's team is one of the reasons why I really fell in love with the circus, because you go out there and you do something maybe 80 times, but each of those shows actually ends up becoming an individual memory and experience, because one day you might be looking to the right and you'll catch one person's eye, and then the next day at exactly the same moment in the show you could be looking to the left and catch somebody else's eye. So every show for me is individual, and I feel like those guys do become a secondary family. So it's amazing, and the people you get to meet are from all over the world. So I've met people from Chile, Cuba, Colombia, Russia, Mexico, Romania, Moldova, France. Have some of the most incredibly talented artists come from all over the world, and I'm lucky enough to get to meet every single one of them. So it really is not so much a team effort, but a family effort. So Gandhi's with the diversity show. Yeah, that was amazing. Ignite. I really, really enjoyed that. I wasn't part of it personally, but I got to watch all of my friends performing that, and it really was an incredible show. Was it hard to portray the more serious character in Surreal? It was, actually. It was quite a different experience for me. So I'm quite outgoing, jovial, loud, and I'm also quite, I talk with my hands, I'm quite expressive. So to create a character that was much more subdued and quiet and internal was polar opposite to me. And also I laugh at anything, I smile at anything. So I really had to control that. And that's where creating a character comes in, because it wasn't me that was walking around that ring, it was this Ringmaster presence. And I had to spend time, when I used to put my makeup on for the show, I don't know for those of you who saw it, I had big blue swoops, and it actually took about 45 minutes each day to do my makeup. So I used to use that process to build this character into life and almost put it on as a mask. And so whilst I knew what was going on from the outside, it was only this character going around, the same as it would be in a play or something like that. So, do I practice in front of the mirror? Now, I have to say I don't. Really weirdly, I don't like the sound of my own voice. It's one of those things for me. When I hear myself, I get a bit... You know, if you knock your elbow, you get the feeling of your funny bone. I sort of get that in my own head about my voice. So I prefer to have feedback from other people. So when I work with Philip, and also we have an amazing man called Tony that works with me on my script. They sort of help me to create my Ringmaster speeches. So, for instance, Philip will let me almost go on autopilot and say what I feel would fit, or he'll most of the time will let me propose the first idea, and then he'll give me constructive criticism on how to edit it, or if he wants something specific being said, or he was like, oh, could you try it this way? And I'm really on board with that. Like, the Gandhi family has been running now for almost 100 years. They've got all that experience and all that knowledge, and I want to learn it all, so always take constructive criticism on board. But no, I don't practice in front of the mirror, because that's not my style. My style is maybe trial and error, but I prefer to have somebody on the outside give me feedback, because I feel like it's important to have that somebody who understands what you're putting out and can give back to you saying this is what it read as. So we had here, oh, I've just lost it there. Sorry guys. I've never done a Facebook Live before, so this is my first chance. Gandhi's giving me all the experiences. Kaz has said that when her daughter is 16, she'd like to join the circus. Well, there is still the saying, people still say to me, oh, so you actually ran away with the circus. Now, that's very true, because I did. And I remember the first time I told my mum, she was like, oh, what are you doing now? And I said, oh, I'm actually going to go and work for a circus. And she was like, ha ha ha, very funny. What are you going to do? And I said, no, Mum, really, I'm running away with a circus. So that was quite a novel experience. But I would say if you are interested in circus, get involved as young as possible. Obviously, you have to be 18 now to come on the touring show. But if you have that passion and drive, I'm sure you'll get there. So Vicky Jones has asked, what have I been doing while I'm not able to do the shows with the lockdown? That's a good question, Vicky, as I'm sure lots of people are obviously in lockdown and potentially not working, so they're trying to keep themselves busy. I've been lucky that I actually managed to get myself a part-time job to give me something to do. As you know, I'm an energetic person. I work a lot of the time with a circus, so I actually took a job with Tesco. So I'm out there with all the other key workers at the moment, keeping the shops open, trying to make sure everything's safe inside. But my personal downtime, I actually read a lot. I'm a very avid reader. I have a Kindle at the moment, and I'm working my way through lots and lots and lots of books. I also enjoy cooking and baking, but my dad is a fantastic chef, so I'm not really practicing those skills either. And I guess my biggest thing is I'm making sure everybody else around me is all right. So I spend lots of time catching up with all of my friends all over the world, from circus and also my previous performing jobs. I have really close friends all over the country, and so I spend a lot of time checking in on them, because I feel that's really important at the moment, is check in on everybody. There are lots of people struggling with what's going on. It's a break from the normal. So the best thing you can do is just text somebody who you might not have heard of from a while and just check in on them and their mental health, because it's a weird time for us all. But yeah, just to let you know, we are all thinking of everybody, and if everybody is struggling, please seek out some help. So Kelly has asked, do you find it difficult living in a caravan all the time? It is, so for me, it's can be quite a trial. So I live in what's called a bunk, which is, I don't know if anybody has seen out the back of the circus, but we have the big lorries which have been converted into bedrooms. Now, a bunk wagon has a bunk bed in it, hence why it's called a bunk. And you also get a kitchen unit which has a sink. You get cooking facilities like a hot plate and stuff. Also has a wardrobe and cupboards for your personal possessions. So it's nice and warm and dry and cosy, and I'm really appreciative that that's provided as part of my contract, so they give me somewhere to live with the tour. The only thing I do find difficult is when you're touring in the spring or maybe the autumn months and it's starting to get cold, and you sat there and you're thinking, oh, I've got to go outside to go to the shower or the toilet. And it's but I do have a big fluffy jumper. Everyone on the circus, sometimes they know I'm coming if they see a big bright red fluffy hoodie that goes all the way down to my knees. It's something that you just have to face, really. It's not plausible to put everybody up in a hotel. It would just, it's not financially plausible. It would be way too expensive, and also it's just convenience for us. We need to be able to live with the show, we need to be able to live on the show, and we need to be able to pick and take everything up with us within a week. So I guess it's one of those things that when you take the job, you know it's a compromise you're making, and also then it makes you really appreciate when you do settle down somewhere and you can have a nice hot shower. So what other questions? Hello to Binky and Sandra, really big hello, lovely to see you both pop up. Carla's asked, would I like to do Circus Star? Now, Circus Star is incredible. It's an amazing cause. It's a sister show to Gandhi's, so it's a different company, a different tour, but we do work very closely with them. If anybody hasn't heard of them, please do go check them out. They do an amazing circus, like a charity circus for children with disabilities, health problems. It's done in sign language, it's autism friendly, so there's less lighting, less sound, and it's done in an approachable, friendly way for everybody, and it really is an amazing, amazing cause. So, hi Libby, I think sorry if I didn't already say hello to Noah and Bo. Thank you very much for joining us. So, we have some more questions now. What inspired me to go into show business? Oh, that's a tough one. So, I guess it would be, like I mentioned earlier, my grandparents used to take me to pantomimes when I was younger. So, I guess that would be a big part of my upbringing, was going to see these shows, seeing the joy they bring and the happiness. And I guess from a very young age, I thought, I want to do that. I want to be that person that brings those smiles, brings that enjoyment, brings that laughter. So for me, it was a natural course of progression that I started in amateur dramatics. I think from the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I was doing shows. I was in a project called East Anglia Youth Theatre when I lived out over there, and I was one of the main roles in that, and I think I was only sort of 7 years old at that time. So I guess really I've been doing it forever in a space. So hi Chico. Now there's a face I'm dying to see. Chico Rico, our clown here at Gandy's, along with Andrea this year. If for those of you who were lucky enough to see them, they had a fantastic show this year. So really looking forward to getting back on the road and working with those. Do I drive any of the circus trucks? No, not yet. That's one thing. I've only been involved in the circus for 2 years now. I started in 2018, and you actually have to have a special license to drive lorries of that size. So that's not something I've worked up to yet. There are people who have spent many years sort of taking the examinations and learning, having their HGV licenses, and they would probably be a lot better. I've got the tiniest car in the world, and it would be quite a big jump up to those lorries. Has anybody got any last? We've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to take a last couple of questions here. I have one here from Lucy. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, I went out to Hong Kong with Gandy's family and the Great Circus of Europe. I was out there in November, December and January, and that was an incredible experience. And what was my favourite food and my favourite experience from Hong Kong? Now, I have to say, for those of you who have never been, Hong Kong is incredibly beautiful at night. So it's got all those big skyscrapers, and it's got the most beautiful skyline when everything goes dark and all you see is lots of buildings have lasers on them and light bulbs, and they do shows at the same time every night, and that was a fantastic thing to experience. And I guess my favourite food, to sound cliche, would be Chinese. Honestly, you go to the very small family-run street restaurants, you know, they might only have 4 or 5 tables in, and it's just a Chinese family cooking their traditional home recipes, and it is far beyond anything I can describe, really. You have to, it's one of those things that, it's like when people say that there's nothing better than their mum's cooking. Now, there's nothing better than going and tasting it at its source. It really was incredible. Now, Roy Rushton from Stoke-on-Trent. Hello, Roy. Have I ever thought of clowning? Now, my mum would tell you that I've been clowning since I was born. But personally, I have actually considered clowning. I have worked very closely with both Andrea and Chico over the past couple of years. And I think what they do is it's amazing. I am in awe of both of them. The way that they can captivate an audience and they can tell stories. Sometimes you don't even realise they're telling you this story. They don't talk, but you've taken on this journey. And I feel, because I've worked with these two guys who are of such a calibre, such a high calibre, if I was going to go into clowning, I have a lot of years of hard work ahead of me and learning, and things like reading the audience and filling those gaps. And personally, I think I would love to give it a go at some point, but I know I have a lot of work to go to get to the level of these people that have been doing it their entire life. So, would I do the Wheel of Death? Oh, now that is scary. I would give it a go, but again, it's something that these people have been working at for years and years and years. So it's not something I'm going to jump on and expect to be show ready, but it's certainly something I would consider in the future. Now, unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to go now because I'm actually at work right now, and this was my break. So it's been amazing to speak to you all, and I've loved having the excuse to get my makeup on and my jacket out, and it almost feels like I'm back in the circus a little bit. But I'd like to thank you all for joining me here today, and thank you very much once again for your support with Gandy's Circus. We will be back with you as soon as possible, and I cannot wait to welcome you back into the big top again. If you have any more questions or anything, don't forget our Facebook and our Instagram. We are open all the time. We do post as often as we can, so feel free to message us at any time. Thank you very much, guys. See you soon.